when you look at eating disorders and things along those lines, not only do you look at the impact of that with food, but how does that impact your body? How does that impact your relationships? How does that impact your social life? How does that impact your own mental health? This is why there is a massive link between things like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. In typical fashion, I'm probably ill again. I think I've got the flu or something. Honestly, I feel like getting ill is a hobby for me at this stage because I'm bloody good at it. I'm bloody good at it. We're still going to power through what needs to be done. And that's actually looking at a video from somebody who's new. Sarai Jones, maybe? I probably pronounced that incorrectly. If I have, shout at me in the comments, I'm used to it. And we're looking at, I tried Kim Kardashian's diet and workouts. Shocking results. You know my thoughts and opinions on celebrities doing silly things online, so obviously I'm going to spice things up and cause a bit of a ruckus.
So she decided to lose the weight and she ended up fitting into it. Had no sugar, no dairy, literally just like veggies and I don't know what else. I feel like it definitely wasn't taken very well by the public.
To be honest, I'm probably not surprised. Ultimately, I think obviously she spoke about Kim losing, I think, 16 pounds over 3 weeks, which technically is clearly, as we've seen, an attainable number, as she has done so. Just because it's attainable doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. I think the reality is when you lose quite a drastic amount of weight quite quickly, especially for women, there are some more problematic things you need to consider, like how's that impacting your hormone health, all sorts of bits and bobs like that. Whereas men can typically get away with a bit more. I think aggressive dieting can be a bit more sustainable in men, especially for short periods of time, whereas like I said with women it might be a bit more problematic. And I think the kind of notion there of avoiding dairy and avoiding sugar comes down to ultimately the question of why. Why do you avoid dairy? Why do you avoid sugar? Someone's going to pipe up in the comment section and say that dairy and sugar is going to kill you. Going to be honest with you, probably not. The question is can you digest it? Does it align with your goals? And does it align with your dietary preferences or requirements? Sugar will not kill you. Sugar is not the devil and sugar is not going to make you fat. Excessive anything will contribute to fat gain. Eating sugar alone will not do that. And if anyone in the comment section pipes up saying sugar will make you fat, you'll see I'm a testament that it doesn't. Genuinely, it really doesn't. Anything in excess, it really is calories in versus calories out. Dairy is a bit of a tricky one because dairy can cause a lot of digestion problems for many people. I understand that. A lot of people are lactose intolerant that probably don't even realize it. So again, that is a consideration. So if you can't digest dairy properly, I don't blame you for not consuming it whatsoever. When I speak about these things of sugar won't do this or dairy won't do this, ultimately I'm kind of speaking for the realm of assuming somebody is healthy and without complications. So without diabetes, without lactose intolerance, things like that. So again, provided you are able to digest things and you don't have any health considerations that may influence that, sugar and dairy are not the devil. It really does come down to what you digest well, and digestion isn't just how you feel, but what it does to your body. How's your skin look after you consume a lot of dairy? Does your skin break out? Because that can be a thing for some people where they have quite bad skin breakouts with dairy, therefore it probably is worth reducing such. So many things like that, but again, inherently, provided you're healthy, provided you don't have things like that, sugar and dairy alone are not going to kill you. They're not going to be the enemy. Calories in versus calories out when it comes to weight loss and weight gain.
She does like 2-a-days, which, sis, how? But she just shared that she's found a great new addition that works for her, which is treadmill sprints.
2-a-days, you don't need to train twice a day. Genuinely, a lot of people I actually say probably don't train twice a day because you probably don't have the time, and is it really going to be great from a fatigue perspective? Probably not. So again, if you were like a bodybuilder, you might do morning cardio, then work out in the evening. That's a bit different. But again, if it comes to actual 2 workouts per day, you probably don't need to do that. And treadmill sprints, ultimately, it comes down to when you look at caloric expenditure, what form of cardio or form of caloric expenditure can you remain most consistent with, and which is the most efficient? So which is the one that will burn the most calories in the shortest amount of time that you can do consistently without blips, basically. If that's low intensity steady state cardio, where you walk, where you jog, whatever it may be, then choose that. If that's sprinting, then choose that. When you're looking at preserving muscle and looking at like fatigue perspective, then you would probably want to avoid things that are typically perceived as high intensity, like high intensity interval training, such as sprinting. You would typically want to do slow and steady because, like I said, when it comes to preserving muscle in a deficit, slow and steady does often win the race. But there is no magic form of cardio that will ultimately change how you respond. There is no magic form of cardio that will make you lose amazing amounts of weight in certain areas of your body. It's just not like that. It really is as anticlimactic as this: calories in versus calories out. And if anyone tells you otherwise, it's probably not true. Very quickly, I'm going to throw it out there. You know, down below in the description, you've got a few things. You've got the link to buy one of the TFNL workout guides, which are currently on sale right now. So you've got the upper body guide, the glute workout guide, the home workout guide, and the growth guide. You've also got the link down below to work with myself, Ryder, or Beth on a one-to-one basis, in which we will coach you towards your goals, whatever they may be. You've also got the link to work with the team on the Train Heroic app, in which it's a TFNL group coaching. For less than your Netflix subscription, you get a program that I've created for the team. You work through it together. You've got a message board to talk to everybody, including me, and you can even send footage in there, I believe, as well. So that's a pretty good time, and you can do that from home, from the gym, or even if you just want to work out just like me, there's an option for everybody.
She didn't really talk about what she drinks, so I'm guessing just water, and not having a dessert because she's a health queen.
Desserts are also not the enemy. Honestly, no food is the enemy, and it upsets me when I see people online, celebrities or just influencers, where they promote, don't eat this, it's bad for you, don't do this, it's bad for you. Why is it bad for you? Who is it bad for? Saying something is bad for someone is essentially a blanket term that doesn't apply to everybody. Running and doing cardio, aerobic activity might be really bad if you're desperately trying to gain weight, because it might make that a little bit harder. But running might be really good for somebody who's trying to get better at running. Again, bad for who? It really does depend. I think ultimately in this realm, in this world, on the line, we'll say, so many people demonize specific things like sugar, like dairy, like desserts, whatever it may be, when in reality nothing needs to be demonized, because demonizing a food group, demonizing a cuisine, demonizing a form of activity is only going to lead to an unhealthy relationship with whatever that might be, under the assumption that consuming it or partaking in it, like an activity, is going to be bad for you. But it's only bad for you if it doesn't align with your goals. And then when you feed the notion of eating this is bad for you, eating this is bad for you, or to get skinny you've got to do this, you essentially take a lot of enjoyment out of the life of many people, because some people actually enjoy some of the foods they eat. Some people actually enjoy being able to have a little snack on their diet. Some people enjoy being able to have a little dessert after dinner, even when they're in a deficit period where they're looking to lose weight. But when you demonize it by saying dairy and sugar is bad for you, desserts are bad for you, you take a bit of that enjoyment away from people. And when you do so, how's it going to impact their sustainability? How's it going to impact their ability to remain consistent with whatever they're choosing to partake in, like whatever goal that might be? If you say you can't eat this and you have to isolate them to a really potentially awful diet to get to where they want to be, I guarantee that'll either result in them failing said diet and not achieving their goals, or it will result in them going into a big binge at the end of it and suddenly consuming all the things they've been deprived of because they desperately crave it. If you actually allow yourself to enjoy some of the foods that you want to enjoy, even in a deficit period, you're less likely to fail, and you're also less likely to result in binging at the end of it, and therefore potentially less likely to develop unhealthy habits and unhealthy relationships, and potentially even less likely to develop a disordered eating pattern. We live in a world, unfortunately, where eating disorders and just disordered eating in general, to be honest, is painfully common, like far more common than a lot of people might realize. And again, I've mentioned this before, but people see eating disorders and problems with food as a very simple blanket kind of condition where you only have issues with the food, nothing beyond that. But that is simply the tip of the iceberg. When you look at eating disorders and things along those lines, not only do you look at the impact of that with food, but how does that impact your body? How does that impact your relationships? How does that impact your social life? How does that impact your own mental health? This is why there is a massive link between things like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. And I know many people in the comment section, I know many people at home, I know many people watching this have unfortunately dealt with those issues, being food-related and eating-related problems like disordered eating and eating disorders, because as I've spoken to many of you about it. But one thing you have to really identify is that there is no guilt around what you're eating. You're allowed to eat things that you enjoy. You're allowed to actually enjoy what you're consuming. Just because you're eating something you enjoy doesn't mean you're eating something out of gluttony or out of greed. Sometimes you're actually eating something that your body needs because you're trying to fuel it for a specific goal. If you're trying to be exercise and be active, you have to fuel your body. I'm not going to ask you to drive to a certain location without any fuel in your car, because you won't make it. You have to fuel for your specific goals. And you can actually enjoy food when you're fueling for your goals. You can enjoy the fuel you're putting into your body, because without fueling your body, you won't achieve what you want to achieve. There's nothing to feel guilty about that. You should not feel guilty about fueling your body for what you're trying to achieve. You should not feel guilty about fueling your body to work towards a goal. And you should not feel guilty about enjoying the fuel you're consuming, because it is simply allowing you to remain more consistent and to ensure that whatever you're pursuing, whatever endeavor you're embarking on, is going to be more sustainable and potentially even healthy for you. Again, just my thoughts and opinions. Maybe I'm full of waffle, who knows, but I'd love to hear yours in the comment section below. That is it. That is the video. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my sickness once again, and thank you for tolerating the video.